many ways. So Chiradeep?
Hi, thanks, Phil. So Chiradeep was one of the original founding engineers at Cloud.com, and he's also the architect behind a lot of the networking capabilities in Citrix Cloud Platform. So the first thing we're going to show is, as Phil said, Cisco has an industry-leading SDN product. It's called Nexus 1000V. It's a very powerful switch, but it's all implemented in software. And the way you access a software switch is exactly like you access a hardware switch. So Chiradeep here is logged into the switch.
Yeah, so if you wanted to do some of the stuff that you and Phil were talking about, dynamically instantiating networks, if you were a network admin, a Cisco admin, you would have to go into the command line interface like this and then type in commands like the one shown here. And just a simple configuration like that one could be easily hundreds of lines. Not easy to do and quite error prone.
Yeah, so this is exactly what Phil meant when he said the stage one, which is everything's manual. It is software defined, but what's nice is the state-of-the-art Cisco Virtual Network Management Center. They've started to integrate with the API control that's available from these underlying network infrastructure. And now Chiradeep will log in and perform some actions through the GUI.
So the VNMC is a very nice interface to do the policy-based provisioning which Phil was talking about. And here you can see that I've defined the data center like you had, the virtual data center with the app tier, the web tier, and the database tier. And I've also managed to associate a virtual firewall, the Cisco ASA 1000V, to this data center, and then apply policies on it to this virtual network management console.
This is fantastic. I mean, this application is just simply, it's beautiful. But more importantly, it enables data center administrator, the network administrator, to be able to configure data center networking, virtualized networking, without actually having to do command lines. He's able to define policies and apply it to a large set of physical and virtual network infrastructure.
That's right, a huge improvement over the command line interface.
What's lacking though, this is still, at the end of the day, an administrator tool. So what it doesn't support is it does not support self-service. It does not support a very high degree of automation for the set of tasks that an end user might want to do, that a consumer of an infrastructure as a service want to do. So for that, we're going to show some of the latest integration actually Chiradeep did to integrate the API into Nexus 1000V and Cisco Virtual Networking Management Center, VNMC, with Citrix Cloud Platform built on Apache Cloud Stack technology.
That's right. So here I'm logging into our cloud in California. And what you can see is I already have a few VMs running. And I'll show you the container which Phil and Sheng were talking about.
So he's selecting what's called a VPC, a virtual private cloud, which is an isolated network environment that sits in a cloud. So it's by design, it is multi-tenant enabled.
That's right. So we talked about having a multi-tier application. Here I already defined a database tier and a web tier. Let me just add a new tier. Let's call it the app tier.
So it only really took a few types and a few clicks to get a network created. And what's happening behind the back is actually quite magical. We're reaching out to Cisco VNMC and Nexus 1000V control the software-defined network infrastructure and get very sophisticated network topology created for this particular application.
Yeah, and at the same time, you can control your compute. So let me go ahead and add a virtual machine to this tier. And while that's happening, now I want to be able to define security rules. saying that the web VMs can access the database or the app VMs on the app VM port. So let me go ahead and configure the ACLs for that.
Yeah, because we have integrated firewall, so it's very easy to say, I want to expose the web tier to the internet, but I certainly don't want to expose the app tier and database tier to the internet, but I do want to expose the app tier to my web tier.
So the apps typically listen on TCP port 8080. And there you have it. Now the web VMs can talk to the app.
It's that easy. Just again, with a few simple types and clicks, we get an access control rule set up without ever have to touch the command line. And this is the type of interface that a self-service infrastructure service consumer is actually able to use.
And the second thing that you and Phil talked about was the load balancer, and CloudStack gives you access to the load balancer as well. And here we can configure load balancer to the web tier. So let's call it My Mobile App.
So what Shrideep is trying to do here is he's actually configuring a NetScaler VPX instance that we're going to specifically create for this application. Again, it only takes a few clicks, and it's fully automatic and fully self-service.
That's right. And then with NetScaler auto-scaling technology, you can even scale the web VMs automatically.
Now, one last thing, we're going to create a site-to-site VPN back to
That's right.
the corporate data center.
We talked about doing a site-to-site VPN. And here I'm going to define a new IPsec connection back to the Citrix headquarters. And I'm going to avoid clicking on that because it might get me in trouble with IT, but there you have it. All point and click. And the neat thing is that you can use APIs to do the exact same thing and get rid of the UI as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.